Hello again, my friends. Joe here from buildassetsonline.com with Mike. He's throwing up a peace sign or something. Hard to see because his background's blurry, but it's all good. If you're listening to this on the podcast, just know that he was throwing up a peace sign because today we're going to be talking about a very peaceful subject, and that is retail arbitrage versus high-ticket dropshipping. Two business models that, in terms of retail arbitrage, I have a ton of experience with. In terms of dropshipping, we both have tons of experience. So we're going to get into it. We're going to compare them, talk about which ones you should do first. And really, it is dependent on you. And you're going to see why that is. So first of all, why did I call it a peaceful topic? It's because when I was doing retail arbitrage, it is kind of a peaceful endeavor because there's a lot of, you would go to the stores, you're walking around the stores, you push in the cart. It's kind of relaxing. And then I would like label boxes, slap the Amazon label, pack it up, make it look nice. Very satisfying to get it all fit in a box. So it is a bit of a relaxing thing, but that's not the only way to do retail arbitrage these days. It's kind of merged with online arbitrage where you don't even have to touch the products at all. You just send them to a prep and ship center on Amazon, like one of the students in our Elite Fleet membership is doing. He does online arbitrage. So let's get into it. We're going to compare these two business models on 4 different points. The first one is the time to cash flow. And Mike and I always preach about how high ticket dropshipping is really, really quick in terms of the amount of cash flow that it could bring someone. And it is. We've set up stores in as little as 2 weeks. The whole process can be very quick if you hustle at it. But I think retail arbitrage is probably quicker in terms of getting immediate cash flow. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Because you don't have to deal with the setting up of the website. You don't have to deal with the running of the ads and tweaking that and optimizing it. You just go into the store saying, okay, yeah, I can sell this. It'll take me this long. I'll make this much. Bam, send it in. So, if you're really good at drop shipping and setting up stores and stuff like that, maybe you can do it quicker. And once you have the infrastructure set up, then it is quicker. But for someone at ground zero, retail arbitrage would be the quickest way to actually get profit.
Yeah, I think one of the key things with retail arbitrage is that you're not dealing with other people per se. And that's what makes it a little bit quicker, is that when you're doing high ticket dropshipping, you have to develop those supplier relationships. It can sometimes be Mike just almost dropped his whole computer, but it could sometimes be like, a bit of a game of, follow up with them. They call you back, you miss the call, you follow, and the process can get really dragged out, especially if you let it, if you're complacent with it and you let it get dragged out. But it doesn't mean it has to be that long of a process, but with retail arbitrage, there's really no other parties involved besides for signing up for Amazon. So, you kind of sign up, send stuff in, and, that's it. Nowadays, you might have to get ungated in some categories, but other than that, there's very few roadblocks to getting started, which is why I think if you really, really hustle with retail arbitrage, I think you can have positive cash flow in like a few days. That's what I did when I started.
You would know better than me, but that is like what you just said is really one of the most major parts, and we never really talk about it, is having to rely on other people. And it's not necessarily like a make or break part of the business, because people typically get things done that they have to get done, but they do it on their own time. And that's just something you cannot prevent. There's ways of following up and just staying on top of people. That's like a whole part of drop shipping. That's really the main logistical part of drop shipping, is keeping up with the suppliers, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, relaying that to the customer. And so that in itself takes up a lot of time. That's really what a lot of our employees do. But with retail arbitrage, if you're just by yourself and everything is hinged on your own ability to take action and how quickly you can do that, then yeah, you can create cash flow so quickly, because you know exactly what you need to do and you're the only one that is getting in the way. There's no one to follow up with, and you follow up with them once, you can't follow up with them again until a day or two later. Like that, you don't have that.
Yeah, and I think an important thing to note here is that a large percentage of real businesses, like a dropshipping business it's much, much more of a real business than a retail arbitrage is going to be hinged on other people. Because that's just the nature of it. There's not a single business that isn't interacting with other businesses for some services, for supplies, whether it be raw materials or actual finished products. That's the supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's working a job knows what this is.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you have to go to this meeting, and then you have to wait to hear back from this person, and then once you hear back, you can send it to your boss, and it's just a whole, just human interaction is very slow.
Yeah.
And you should stop interacting with humans.
Yeah. So let's talk about the second subtopic. And this wasn't actually written in my notes here, but we've kind of talked about it. So risk. Now, we just talked about how relying on a lot of different people can be a roadblock. And it can slow things down a little bit. And that's kind of the upside of dealing with Amazon, is that you're just really, there's one entity that you're communicating with. Most of it is automated, but in a way that's also a downside, because when you do retail arbitrage, and this is one of the reasons why I don't really consider it a real business, is that all of your balls are in Amazon's court. They have control of your inventory. They have control of
control of your balls.
They have control. Yeah, there you go, Mike. They have they got you by the balls. They got you by the balls. They got total control of your account. They control your destiny. And, I never really experienced too many issues with them when I was doing retail arbitrage. There was an instance where I was actually doing retail arbitrage wholesale at the time, and I sent in a wholesale pallet of mouthwash, and they mislabeled a bunch of the mouthwash, and it kind of caused a bit of a problem. They lose stuff, and you got to be on track of that. Now, I've never had a problem dealing with Amazon on other fronts. We've had some issues with their customer support with Kindle publishing, but there are Amazon sellers that have got their accounts suspended, terminated. Overall, I don't think doing retail arbitrage is that huge of a risk, especially when you're starting out. I don't think the risk negates the advantages when it comes to certain people if they're not ready to start a real business. But the risk is there. The risk is there, and you should be very aware of the risk and plan to use the cash flow you get from Amazon retail arbitrage to diversify quickly. And so let's talk about some of the risks of dropshipping in comparison to that, Mike.
Yeah, and so I think the people thing, right? It creates a roadblock and it slows things down, but it actually reduces your risk. Why? Because you actually have someone that you can speak to that can get things done. With Amazon, for example, when we got our Kindle account suspended, there was nothing we can do because I can try and call and talk to these low-level Amazon reps, and they would just feed me canned responses. It was ridiculous. And so the only way that we got out of that situation was we were able to get in contact with an actual high-up person who fixed the situation for us. Yeah. And so with dropshipping, because you're dealing with people, if something gets screwed up or you're wronged in some way, you have someone to call up that actually can get things done, and you say, hey, what is this? And usually, you can fix it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that you have to deal with people. When I said don't deal with them, I was just kidding. But it's just each thing has their own pros and cons. With Amazon, you're, like with retail arbitrage, how you can start out quickly, you're usually in such a small place, like you're starting from really nothing, that it's not a lot of risk just to put all your eggs in the Amazon basket. And then as you get money back, you can reinvest and diversify. And that's really our game plan.
Yeah. So once, in terms of, what was I going to say? So the risks with dropshipping are not hinged on a single point of failure. So there are multiple parties similar to Amazon, I would say, that you're dealing with. Now, not as bad as Amazon, but like Shopify, for example. When I say bad, I mean like not as automated. Like you're more likely to get like a real person that can actually do action for you. So Shopify is one of the companies. Google is one of the companies. Say you're dealing with Shopify, or say Shopify shuts down tomorrow and your store's gone. You still have those supplier relationships. There are plenty of other e-commerce platforms. You can build it on WooCommerce. You can build it on BigCommerce, whatever. You can build it on a lot of different platforms.
Go door to door.
You go to door. Your business doesn't end right there. With retail arbitrage, something happens with Amazon. Your business is kind of fallen flat on its face. But there's always a backup with high ticket dropshipping. Because there really is, in our opinion, not a single point of failure. But again, like Mike said, if you have nothing and you want to do retail arbitrage, don't go into it thinking of like these risks at the top of your head, but just be aware of it as you get deeper in it and look to move on to businesses like high ticket dropshipping, building your own e-commerce store, which again give you diversify. So let's talk a little bit about startup capital, and I will talk about the retail arbitrage, online arbitrage side, and you can get into the dropshipping side. So, and we actually have on our course, Instant E-commerce Asset, we actually do kind of have a breakdown of the starting costs. That's buildassetsonline.com/asset if you want to just see it written out there. Anyway, starting capital. Retail arbitrage, the startup capital is very low. Now, you'll probably have to become like an Amazon Pro seller if you want to do FBA, which is like $40 a month or something. I'm not sure if it's free for your first month, but beyond that, I remember like when I started doing it, I started with like very, very little money. I was going to clearance sections like Walmart, Walgreens, stuff like that, and stuff would be on sale for like really, really cheap. Like I'd get something for $1 and like sell it for like 12. I'd make like $5. And there's a lot of these little things. So I probably started with like $50 or something, and then really, really scaled it because.
How much did you make off of that $50 investment?
I mean, it's a lot because it's hard to actually like track back like what happened. But all I know is like I would send in. I bought $50 of inventory. I would send it in. Within a week, I would get like 120 back. I would just go spend that but 120, I'd get like 200 back. And I don't really remember the exact numbers.
Okay, so it's like so when you're doing things, you're really doubling your money most of the time?
Yeah. So a lot of times, I would sell, so say I got 3 things for $1. I would sell it as like a 3-pack for like $12 and then maybe make like $3 or $4 in profit. That was around what was happening. But sometimes, you hit it big where you'll get something for like $12 or $10 and it'll sell for like 60. Especially you hit those one-off things that start to really make your money grow like pretty quickly. And then, I referred to this in another video. You're just kind of feeding the beast. You just have a lot of cash coming in. You just buy more stuff, go to more stores, order more stuff online, and you feed the beast. Now, there might be some other startup costs in terms of like, you can get a label printer or like just get some sheets of paper to print labels on your regular printer. Small stuff like that, but really nothing crazy. So I would say that's about it. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the key difference there is like if you kind of take that math, and I understand, it'll scale over time, but like if you wanted to make $2,000 a month in your first month, most likely you would need to invest probably $2,000 to get $4,000 back, and then you have $2,000 to take.
Yeah.
So with high ticket dropshipping, there's less of a investment, like an upfront investment. So to make $2,000 in your first month, realistically, you would need to spend a few $1,000s in advertising, but that would be over the course of the month. And as you made sales, you're getting that profit up front, and then you're paying out of the profit to pay the supplier and to pay for the ad spend. So realistically, you're probably investing the same amount or more. You're definitely going to invest more because you're not making 50% every time. But you're investing the money that you're getting paid first, essentially.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. The other difference is that We'll talk about this. Talk about the startup cost, and then I'll kind of say what I was going to say.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of like fixed costs for actually the website and the tools and that side of the business, I would say it can be no more than $500 to get started. And then, like I said, if you wanted to make $2,000 profit, then you need to spend, I don't know, $3,000, anywhere between $3,000 and $6,000 in advertising. And
well,
that's it.
That $500 to get started, that includes the ad spend, right? Because the website doesn't. Well, what are you paying for $500 up front to start the website?
Like Grasshopper, Shopify, I don't know.
Okay, well that doesn't cost up front though. Usually you get a free trial and all that kind of stuff.
You're right.
Yeah, you're not going to be spending $500.
Yeah, true. You can do all these things on free trials, and we've talked about that.
But even Shopify is like $29 a month. Grasshopper is like, what is it, $29 a month for the lowest package. You get a month free trial.
Yeah, this is why you do the accounting. I don't really know.
Okay, it's not $500 a month at all to get started with high ticket dropshipping.
Yeah. Don't listen to me. Yeah, you can do it essentially for free if you leverage the right things.
People want to know the ads. I think when people ask us this question, the tools you need to start are kind of inconsequential because you do get a free trial. They're not that expensive. The ad spend to start out, that's what people ask us. That's what they what they want to know.
People are trying to think in their head, okay, if I totally fail, how much money am I going to lose?
Right.
But it's never going to be like that, because if you spend a few $100 and you're not making any sales, then you need to turn your ads off and like message us, right? It should never be at the point where you spent $1,000, you spent $2,000, and you've made no sales. And I've never even seen that happen.
Yeah.
Unless like someone was really, really had no idea. Typically, you're going to generate a result after you get several hundred clicks. But can you do it profitably? That's a good question. Yeah. But you would know after, a couple $100 and maybe a sale, or even if no sales and you spend $200, like the worst case scenario is you lose $200 and then you try and backtrack and figure out what you did wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about that, but with the startup costs of high ticket dropshipping, is that once you make one sale, 2 sales, you recoup that trial and error period pretty quickly and get your money back. And that's what I wanted to touch on before we got into this back and forth, was that the money kind of comes in a bit differently when you're doing high ticket dropshipping, because what happens is that you can make $200, $1,000, $500 per sale, and it's not going to require any cost of inventory. So when you do that, so to make $1,000 with retail arbitrage, like you said, you might have to invest $1,000 in inventory. You might not have that $1,000 up front. So with dropshipping, you can do that.
Put in that it could take $100 in ad spend for you to make $1,000.
Yeah.
Just point blank. Maybe you make a $3,000 sale. Okay, Shopify pays you for the $3,000. You pay $2,000 to the supplier. Boom. Now you have $1,000 minus the $100 that you spent on ads. Yeah. And now you're off to the races.
Yeah, but with retail arbitrage, I think it's a bit more known, because you're kind of not known, but it's like it's more straightforward for a beginner or someone that's not in the right mindset to do online business. Because you can buy the wrong thing and lose money, a little bit of money on Amazon, but for the most part, if you're buying something for a good deal, if you're buying something for a smoking deal, you're gonna know that you're gonna sell it on Amazon, because you can scan it with your phone, plug it into the FBA calculator, and you can kind of see how much you're most likely going to get back. So in that way, it is a bit more straightforward, but you'll have less of that exponential growth that you can have with dropshipping when you get a few big sales. So,
yes, sir.
Moving on from that, let's talk about scalability, because based on the points we just touched on, high ticket dropshipping is, I think, way, way more scalable than retail arbitrage. Once you start hitting $3,000 bucks a month, $4,000 a month in profit with retail arbitrage, it becomes cumbersome because to keep hitting those numbers, you have to keep reinvesting in that inventory. And so you have to find that, you have to figure out how to source that inventory, all that stuff. And it's just, all that stuff kind of holds it back from scaling it. And also, talk about relying on other people. Once you hit certain thresholds, you are relying on others with retail arbitrage because you're relying on the physical retail stores or the online retail stores. You're relying on them having stock and getting good deals. And there are tons of it out there. There's always tons of it out there, but how much of it is out there? So, like I said, once you hit that 2,000 or 3,000,
and also your time has a cap as well.
Yeah,
because there's only so much you can go and buy and pack and ship, and you can hire people to pack for you. But, like you run into roadblocks in terms of your ability to source and pack and ship things, and that's kind of the ceiling that you hit, and that's where things start becoming more of a real business. And the question is, do you want to actually carry out retail arbitrage like a real business, or do you want to just, use it as like a low risk, just solo type of thing?
Yeah. And when you're ready to start carrying out a real business, that's when you move to the dropshipping because of that scalability and because of the sellability, frankly. You can't really sell a retail arbitrage business.
Yeah. No, you can't, because it's so reliant on like these one-off deals and just almost serendipity, and you can't put a value on serendipity.
No, you cannot. But you can. But what you can do is you can sell a dropshipping business.
Yes,
and we've done it multiple times.
Yeah, and the reason is because there's no limit as to how much you can sell. Things may go out of stock, but hey, these suppliers are always getting more. This is what they do. They make these products for you to sell them, and you're selling them at retail, so you're not reliant on specific deals or anything like that. The only thing that you're relying on is how much money you choose to spend on ads. And honestly, that's really a mental thing. Like once you figure out the formula, and we lay it all out in Instant E-commerce Asset, like the philosophical formula that we use to just maximize our ads over and over and over, you can really create as much income as you want, like seriously. But then it just becomes, again, like how much, what are your mental barriers as to how much you're willing to go through to spend $100,000 a month in ads and hire people to take care of that, and then scale that up to $1 million, which you can do. But the only roadblock is yourself at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the last points I want to touch on here is the skill set you acquire from both of these things. And I think there's without a doubt that if you do high ticket dropshipping, you're going to acquire a far, far superior skill set than you would online arbitrage, retailer online arbitrage. And I want you to actually tell people what that skill set, all those skill sets are, Mike. But before you do that, I want to talk about a little bit of what you get out of doing retail arbitrage, because you are learning Amazon a little bit. You're learning about how Amazon works, and that can translate into some other businesses like private label FBA. It can kind of translate into Kindle publishing a little bit just by, you're dealing with Amazon, you're working with it, you're getting familiar with the platform as a whole. But there's one thing that retail arbitrage and online arbitrage can give you that I think is the invaluable thing. And that is breaking the barrier that you can actually make an income online. And that is what it did for me. And I think if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be where we are today, owning our own e-commerce websites, owning content websites, owning Kindle publishing business, spending tons and tons a day on ads. We wouldn't be where we are today if retail arbitrage didn't break that initial barrier for me, and if it didn't break it quickly. Because I was at a real job. I wasn't sure if this stuff was going to work at all. But the second I made that first sale on Amazon, and I saw my bank account get paid more than I put out into the business, that was a huge mental shift in my life, honestly. But as far as the whole well-rounded skill set, what's someone going to get if they do high-ticket dropshipping and see it through to the end?
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to just add something to what you said. It really is like a matter of what you believe can be in your reality. And I don't mean that in like some magical way, but when I talk with people who like don't have an online business, they just don't believe that it's in their reality for them to go ahead and do that. The same way that for us to like spend, $1 million in ad spend a month, like that's not in my reality to do that. And so it'd be pretty hard for me to achieve that. But once I did that, you can continually work your way up. But with dropshipping, you're really learning every single skill necessary to go and do any other online business or really anything else, because you're learning the person-to-person interaction. You're learning the sales. You're learning how to actually go and create relationships with people that are not just necessarily selling goods, but people that are providing anything. You can go and you can develop a relationship with them, and you can use your skills of paid advertising and website creation and stuff like that to market for them. So it's really the whole package of internet marketing is built into dropshipping. And then, that's why it just provides so many different outlets. And we've talked about like how we're doing the real estate thing, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that, in a few months. But it was because we acquired all these skills and we saw that opportunity, and we said, okay, like everything we have is totally translatable, and now we can go and do this.
Yeah.
So
I say it over and over again, Mike. If you can get a website made, you can get people to go to the website, you can get people on the website to buy something, you can do anything online. That's what it comes down to. And before we end the episode, I want to talk about something that kind of happened to me over the weekend a little bit, because it's very related to what you're saying. Now, we talked about how when you unblock that mental barrier that you can make an income online, there's a shift that happens. Instead of seeing like the business droughts or like the lack of opportunity in business all around you, you start to see that there's opportunity everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I have a bunch of really good friends in real life, and I think most people in real life, they have the mindset that, oh, it's hard out there, or it's like too hard out there. And I'm sure, for many people, it is hard out there, and there, some people do have a lack of opportunity, but there are many people that are in perfectly fine positions in life, that there's all the opportunity in the world surrounding them, all the business opportunity that there could be, but they don't know how to see it. It's like they're blind to it.
Yeah, it's called your reticular activation system.
Really?
Yeah, it's an actual thing. And so it is exactly what you said it is. It's in reality, you choose to see certain things in a certain light. And like, for example, Kobe Bryant, RIP, like if you've ever watched Kobe Bryant play basketball, or someone who is a super elite athlete, their reticular activation system was so tuned in to getting to whatever their end goal was, whether it was getting a point or scoring a goal. Like, you can see how focused they were, and they're not seeing all the opposing players that would be in their way. They're seeing how to get around them and how to maneuver the situation to get to their end goal. And so it's the same situation in reality that's happening, but how your brain is looking at it and seeking out opportunities rather than seeking out ways that things can go wrong is what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's really powerful, because I believe that's exactly what my real life friends and associates do oftentimes, is they look at the system and they say, oh, the system is this, the system is that. And you could say the system is a lot of things, and it probably is, but it's also a lot of other things.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you going to look at? What parts of the system are you going to look for? Are you going to look for opportunities, or are you going to focus on all the things that can go wrong? So
yeah,
that's about it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Got a little philosophical on you, but that's That's pretty normal around here sometimes. buildassetsonline.com/playbook if you want to check out our free course, and buildassetsonline.com/retail if you want to learn about the course that I started doing retail arbitrage with, which was Jessica LaRue's Amazon Bootcamp by the Selling family. The whole family's involved. It's a great course. Jessica's great. The whole thing is fantastic. She lives and breathes Amazon, period. Like, if you want to get started with online or retail arbitrage, buildassetsonline.com/retail. That's the Selling family stuff is the best place to do it. I highly recommend it. So, and if you want to get started with high ticket dropshipping, buildassetsonline.com/asset. So you got 3 places to go after the episode. Buildassetsonline.com/retail, buildassetsonline.com/asset, and buildassetsonline.com/playbook for our free course. And with that, we're out.
Take it easy.